Hey chiropractors, we're ready for another modern chiropractic marketing show with Dr. Kevin Christie, where we discuss the latest in marketing strategies, content marketing, direct response marketing, and business development with some of the leading experts in the industry.
Hey docs, this is going to be a solo episode, and I'm actually excited to chat about this topic. I think it's something that we don't think too much about, and that is the psychology of a cash-paying patient. Okay, now whether you're an insurance-based practice or a cash-based practice or a mix or whatever, we all have patients that pay cash, right? Like even if you are in network with every insurance, it doesn't mean you don't have cash-paying patients, and that's what I want to chat about today, because I think chronically we're not seeing the difference and it's impacting what our rates are. We're not going to dive into specific numbers in this podcast for obvious reasons. Plus, depending on what part of the country and world you're in, that's all going to mean different things. We do have an international audience, so the monetary aspect is going to be different there. Even within the United States, you could be in small town where a house costs $150,000, or you can be in San Francisco where a house costs $2 million for 2 bedrooms, right? So cost of living is all different. So we're not going to dive into the actual numbers, but we're going to dive a little bit into the psychology of what you're dealing with when you have a cash paying patient. Okay. Before we do that, I've been talking about money and finances a lot more the last 4 or 5 months. We had the big virtual summit, CSA Money Matters, which if you are a CSA member or if you want to become a CSA member, you have access to that whole library of presentations around money. And you can just join that at csacircle.com and register. It's a monthly subscription. Really what the Chiropractic Success Academy is, it's like an online coaching program for you. It's amazing how many chiropractors are doing great things in there. We have a mastermind group where a lot of the members in there started out with the CSA and their practice has grown exponentially. And so check it out. But we have a whole library of money matters topics in there. And it's something that I've been diving, kind of headfirst into with our evidence-informed chiropractors, because frankly, too many of us have had poverty mindset. We see what the other side of the profession is doing, and we've gone too far to the other side. We're afraid to talk about money. We're afraid to talk about business. We're struggling to have the profit margin to have a well-developed team, which then allows you to have a great patient experience, allows you to grow, allows you to offer things to your patient base that you can't now. And overall, it just really improves your practice. And so we have to dive into it a little bit, right? And a lot of it is psychological. And we're not going to go all woo-woo here and, talk about, the abundance of, money and life and all that. But I just want to touch on, and this is going to be a shorter episode, but I wanted to touch on the psychology of a cash-paying patient, because what's happening is many of you are pricing. Let's just start with the new patient. Your new patient cost or charge to that person is not enough. And what you're doing is you're placing that same patient into your insurance-based patients, where it's like, I know patients aren't going to want to pay more than $30 copay, and God forbid if it's a new patient exam and it's going to cost them over $100. You're putting a limitation based on what your insurance patients. Yeah, if your insurance patient comes in and they know they're in network, they have a certain expectation of the cost is going to be less. Now, obviously, things have changed over the years, and even your insurance patients are essentially cash-paying patients, right? Like they're paying the majority of the visit, and the insurance company's actually paying the copay, right? It used to be, $10 copay, and then the insurance paid $80, right? Or $20 copay, and insurance paid $70. Now it's something like the copay is $45, and the insurance pays you $5, right? So who's paying the copay there? Obviously, insurance is. And so obviously, your insurance-based patients are cash-paying patients as well. But they definitely expect it to be moderate, right? They don't expect to come in for a new patient exam and have to pay $175 or $150. There's no doubt about that. But where the interesting thing lies, and I always kind of tell this story, I went to a dentist and I don't have insurance for dental, so I know I pay cash every time I go to dental. It was a new dentist. It was a full exam and everything. And I had a certain expectation, like, okay, yeah, I've made this decision to go to this office. I know I'm paying cash. I know it's a new patient evaluation. And I had a certain number in my head, it was about $200, where I was like, yeah, that's what I figured it's going to pay. And I remember it was like $207. Like, all right, perfect. No sweat, right? Because I had already predetermined that I was going to be paying a certain amount of money, and I was still willing to go and step into the office and go through the whole thing. Now, what I don't like about a lot of medical scenarios is you find out what the cost is after you've had your service and you're checking out, and it's like this kind of like, oh shit, what are they going to charge me type of thing. So we don't do that in our office. We always give the amount beforehand. And there's a little bit of a range, but it's very, very candid with them on that. But I had this expectation. I knew it was a cash patient, right? And so many of you have set a certain number for your new patient evaluation and treatment day for your cash patients, like whatever that number is, and it's chronically low. And because you're comparing the cash patients' thought process to your insurance patients. Like, well, there's no way my insurance patient would want to pay this, and so I'm sure the cash patient. Well, the truth is that cash paying new patient knows they're paying cash. They called your office. They either don't have insurance or they have some obscure insurance, or frankly, they were referred to you from a strong referral and they don't even care. Like, they want to go see you because they heard you're the best, and they're not price shopping, right? Believe it or not, again, it's always different in where you're at. So if you're in this like very small town, working class town, I get it. But there's people in most of your towns that are coming to you because they know there's value in coming to see you. And they're frankly comparing the cost. They're like, in their head, they're like, whatever it's going to cost me out of pocket to see this chiropractor, I know it's way freaking less than going to see the orthopedist or the neurologist or all those other doctors, right? Like, if they have deductible and things like that's like $500, $600. Like, they may not be comparing you to the other chiropractors. See, you're a lot of times comparing, if your cash rate's a little bit higher in town compared to the other chiropractors, you're comparing yourself to these other chiropractors that are just adjustment only, quick visits, boom, rack and crack that we talk about. But in their mind, in their cash paying mind, they're comparing you to what's worse, right? Like the orthopedic visits and the neuro visits and all these other visits that can be really expensive. And they're saying there's really no way this is going to be worse. So when you give them a number and it's higher than what you think you're comfortable with, or you think your insurance patient is comfortable with, they think it's very reasonable. Like, they've got a number in their head. It's going to cost me this. And many of you are falling way below that. And again, without going into the exact numbers, I just want you to think about, like, what do you think if you were to go to the dentist or somewhere and you're paying cash? Like, what do you think that number is, right? And then what does your actual new patient cost, right? If you're evaluating and treating that same day. If you're evaluating only and treating on day 2 or whatever, different ballgame. But for right now, I'm just going to say you're evaluating and treating the same day. What's that charge? It's probably, if it's chronically lower than what you think it is, you need to raise that. And then what's cool about it is if you raise it, no one knows the difference, right? If you raise it $20, they didn't know it was $20 cheaper a week ago, the new patient, because they never been to your office, right? The psychology of the new patient is different than the psychology of the cash paying regular follow-up visits, right? A lot of times we say, oh, I don't want to raise my new patient exams because this, that, and it's like, well, they've never been in your office. So if you raise it 20, that's not going to, there's like usually this range where if you raise it, it doesn't affect the buying decision. Now, if you raise it too much, yeah, crazy, right? And you will see less people accept that. All right, docs, here is a new opportunity for you from Darcy Sullivan of Propel. She is our SEO specialist in helping out many chiropractors with their search engine optimization and making sure Google is finding you and getting you new patients. It's amazing how many new patients chiropractors can get and are getting when they do the SEO right and a few other things. And Darcy is offering a free SEO workshop just for chiropractors, and you can sign up for that at bit.ly/propelmcm. That is bit.ly/propelmcm. Modern Chiropractic Marketing, right? And so check out that link. And we're going to have you go over 5 SEO secrets to owning the first page of Google without buying ads. And Darcy's going to give that free workshop, 1 hour, to really help grow your practice and start churning new patients from the ever mighty Google, which is still king in the online marketing. So check that out at bit.ly/propelmcm for the 1 hour free workshop. So I challenge you to stop, comparing the psychology of the insurance paying patient to your cash patients. And then frankly, it's the same thing with your office visits. If you feel like yours are low, then it's a good time to raise it because everybody else is raising it. I can't even imagine how many emails I got from different vendors I use saying, oh, we got to raise it, that, because of inflation, right? So everybody else is doing it. So it's a good time to do it. You can figure out what that would be, right? And then another little topic that's a little bit different than, say, the psychology of the cash paying patient only, but it's in the same family or close cousins to it. And that is a lot of my audience is, sports chiropractors, evidence-informed chiropractors, does rehab, does soft tissue, does manipulation, spends a little bit more time than just the quick adjustment only crowd, whatever. And so then you compare yourself to the other chiropractors, right? And we've kind of mentioned that. So I challenge you, your take home for this episode is to look at what you're doing with the psychology of your cash patients, okay? And I want you to understand that it's different and that there is a range where you can have your fair pricing to you're getting compensated fairly and they don't think you're expensive or too much, right? And again, the more you create content and get out there and educate the community, the more you position yourself as an expert, your prices will change and go up and people will see it's high value and not expensive, right? So that's a great guidance for you. If you really position yourself as an expert, you're going to be considered high value, even if you charge a little bit more, right? And because the other reality of the new patient scenario is if you spend 45 minutes, this is the other challenge I have to you, or at least kind of math equation I want you to do. If you spend 45 minutes with a new patient, and you charge them X amount, you really can only see, if you're kind of a one-man band there, you can really only see that new patient and then maybe one other visit. So you're getting 2 visits in the full hour. And so what does that add up to, right? So add up the new patient price and your one office visit you're getting, add that number up, and that's what you're getting for the hour. Versus if, let's just say you see people every 15 minutes and you can see 4, and so you take 4 and times that by your office visit number, a lot of times you'll find that number is higher. You make more money when you see 4 regular office visits in an hour versus seeing 1 new patient and 1 office visit. And that's fine. We need new patients, obviously. But if you start to get a lot of new patients and the amount you're getting for the new patient is not high enough, those hours you're seeing new patients, you're making less money than when you see just office visits, right? And so if you're not careful, the new patient visit can become a little bit of a drag if you're not charging appropriately. Okay, so I want you to start thinking about this a little differently. There's a different psychology of the cash paying patient. When they know the price and they come in anyway and they see the value, stop putting your poverty mindset into their world and into their buying decision process. Okay, that's the other thing we do. We put our poverty mindset in their shoes and think that they're using our lens of money to make their decisions on finances. Let them make their own decisions on that, and you'll be surprised what you'll find for sure, because they see the value. Right? They see the value and they're coming to see you. And that's for, a lot of people don't even realize chiropractors are in-network insurance. So they're calling, it's like, I want to come in. It's fine, and when they do call, if they don't even bring up money, we don't bring it up. Right? We have a lot of patients, they call like, oh, I want to see, doctor. And I was referred by, and we get all the information and we ask them if they have any questions. If not once they brought up insurance or money, we're not bringing it up. Now, when they come in for their visit, we let them know prior to the service, like at the front, we let them know that. But if it wasn't like, if they came to the visit without ever even thinking about or asking about insurance or money, do you think it's a huge part of their decision-making process to come to see me or one of my other doctors, right? Like, they've made the decision, I'm going to see them. I don't care what it costs. I know it's going to be somewhat reasonable because they're a chiropractor. It's not an orthopedic surgeon, right? So now if they ask, we don't lie. We tell them, we give them the range. Like, we have a little bit of range, and depending on what the doctor finds and sees, blah, blah, blah. But so they know, okay, it's not going to break the bank. And if it does, they don't come in. That's fine. We're straightforward. We're straight up with them on what the price is. But if they don't want to bring it up and they don't ask about it, we wait till they get here and we talk to them about it. Okay. Medicare patients different. We try to give as much clarity as possible with them because there's nuances, and obviously it's different than a cash paying patient. All right. Well, that's my little rant. I just want you to start thinking about that a little bit, assess where you're at on the spectrum of your cash patients, and make the decision from there. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Modern Chiropractic Marketing Show. Before you leave, make sure you check out our website. We've got blogs and podcasts and all kinds of great info at www.modernchiropracticmarketing.com. We also have a closed Facebook group of the same name where a lot of like-minded chiropractors are workshopping ideas and making sure that we have this continual advancement of marketing, business, mindset, and just growth of your practice. So check us out, modernchiropracticmarketing.com, and the Facebook group of the same name.